One thing I just learned, I'm inserting into these lines of question because you mentioned earlier, is you have aphantasia.
Yeah, yeah. So if there's like a scale that goes from like zero, zero meaning like truly no visual imagination, to 10 being like a 4K video running in your head at all times, I think I'm somewhere in the one range. So I think it's about as low as it can be and still be functional.
So how hard is it to design games with no, essentially, well, for those who don't know what aphantasia is, it's like having no mind's eye, right?
Yeah, it's basically the way I like describing it is that there's no visual information when you try to recall things. So,
How do you remember what people look like? Or can you not? Are you face blind?
so I'm not face blind. I'm actually really good at identifying faces. So I think obviously there's like a hardware accelerator in us that understands faces, that can parse faces. So that obviously that module works fine for me.
Interesting. So how do you design games? Like, well, this is something you learned recently, right? About yourself.
Fairly recently, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have come to a thought that I don't see things as well in my memory as other people do, like maybe 10 or 12 years ago, as like a conversation late at night or something. But otherwise, I didn't really think about it until watching a YouTube video that explained it with a lot more clarity, and then it was really fun and interesting thought to have. But it didn't appear to have any effect on designing games. Certainly, and it's worth noting, I went to art school for 8.5 years, and I think it's because I couldn't see things in my mind's eye. It's because I wanted those things. So I learned sort of a rules-based, systems-based approach to creating visuals, which that might very well have contributed significantly to the game design experience that I've had. I mean, I didn't, so back when I'm like, making these games from 97 to, we'll say 2021, obviously I had no idea what aphantasia even really was. And so I can't even say if it had an effect.
Well, did you notice? Like, I know people. I actually know other game designers who discovered they have aphantasia later, and they kind of realized their design process was different from other designers, and they related it to aphantasia. Like, just like the lack of visual reference or being able to have a visual reference in interacting with other designers and how they work. When you discovered you have aphantasia, did you have any aha moments about things that you do that now make more sense, or did it allow you to become more effective at communicating ideas to people because you kind of understand what's going on internally is different when you're trying to explain a concept?
So it definitely helps now. I think back then, I think it worked in my favor because games are a collection of systems. And the way those systems interact it's not visual, right? It is structural, it's mathematic, it's logical. It isn't, the visual memory wasn't necessary for that, right? Designing systems and progression and the graph of all the animations that fit together for the combat system. I mean, the poses that they were in. I mean, I think the art school maybe helped fill that in so it wasn't a weakness. But the actual act of building the architecture of the systems that the players interact with isn't a visual memory experience. It's tables and graphs and maybe the artiest thing, most artsy thing it is are curves and the way they interact with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, although some games more than others, right? I mean, I almost think that you can kind of gravitate towards more systems-based games because that kind of is more suited for somebody with aphantasia. People that I know that have it work a lot in spreadsheets, lists. Systems lend themselves to that kind of design. Whereas,
Definitely.
Some games, almost the aesthetics and the feel outweigh the systems design, even though there always is a system.
Well, and it's interesting though, as game designer, I mean, at least in the early 2000s console development, we relied very heavily on the art director for visuals, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe that was also another part of the puzzle as well.
Right. Like the interaction between the art and the gameplay, in some cases that was taken, like the artist had to actually handle that.
Although probably in my decision-making process, I wouldn't weight visuals as strongly.
Mm-hmm.
So that probably had an effect on maybe some of our inclinations and the way we decided things. Spider-Man 2 tolerated a pretty low-res city in its far LOD.
Yeah.
And maybe that wouldn't have happened otherwise.